Yourself a snack, and I'm fixing to give you some big, juicy details on my personal life. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm so excited about this. Just know that no matter what, we're going to continue here at the SayCo Show, even if we can't do live anymore on Podbean after May. We'll talk a little more about that. Here we go.
In a world that's bright, come take a seat on the beat. We gather where laughter meets. Every Tuesday's a trip. Come share your flair. In this warm embrace, there's love everywhere. Talk it out, all vibes alright. Nobody's wrong here, I like tonight. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. From stories of pride to journeys of heart, we celebrate life, each unique part. A safe haven here, where spirits soar free. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. Let the colors shine bright in the warmth of the night. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. Let the colors shine bright in the warmth of the night. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. With each word we share, we bring the light. Join the talk show, let your heart take flight.
We are so excited that you are joining us yet again on another SayCo Show. Those of you that are on the Clapper app, this is our first time doing live radio through the app, and we're super excited that you're going to be able to join us that way for questions live, since we're live in the studio. And for those of you here in the Podbean chat room, I so appreciate you. I see some friends already popping in, and we're glad you're here. Now, tonight, we're going to be talking a little more about my personal life. I had a couple text messages that came through a couple months ago that said, look, we love what you're doing, but we want to hear a little more about you. Who are you? We know that you're just a gay guy that had cancer a couple years ago and loved Patsy Cline, but we need to know a little more about you. And listen, I get that. I keep forgetting that, when I was over on the radio station, I kind of did a 3-hour show on me, and was hoping that those shows would have been saved. But when the radio station went under, my shows were erased. And so I keep thinking that I've already introduced myself really well as far as the SayCo Show goes. And so I think tonight it's going to be just a little more about who your host is, and also discussing some points in my life that are extremely strange and personal to me, but yet it's part of my story. I was talking to a friend earlier, and I was telling her, listen, I can't talk long. It's one of my friends that I fly with all the time. For those of you that don't know, I'm a flight attendant. And she said, wait, you're going to get on and talk about your life, like your name and everything? And I said, well, yeah, I'm an open book. It's not my show. It's the listener's show. And that's what we've been trying to do for a little over 3 years now. And let me know, Todd. I know Todd's listening, my buddy up in Canada. If you can hear me well and the music and sound were good, just let me know, Todd, if everything sounds good on your end. So tonight we're going to be talking about 23andMe. And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's an ancestry test. It's something that you order up and you basically send your DNA to a company, and they're able to research it and put it through their programs, and then they let you know what they think they know about you. Now, I know a lot of people are against these ancestry things. They're saying, a lot of my friends say, you're giving the government your saliva. Yeah, I guess I did. I gave 23andMe, the company, my saliva. I did tell them, I requested them to immediately, incinerate my sample. But yeah, I did. And I know a lot of you are uncomfortable about that. And so what I have to say about that is, if you're uncomfortable with it, then don't do it. I had a lot of friends and family members that had already started that journey. And so I felt comfortable with their results and what they were thinking and feeling. And that's why I went ahead and did it. At the time, it was kind of on sale. And I said, hey, this would be really great. My spouse and I can get a 2-for-1 test. And we'll figure out if we can find out who we really are and what the results will say. So basically, thank you, Todd, for letting me know. Basically, what happens is your test tubes, your sample and whatnot, come from the company. For those of you that don't know, and what you do is you shake up a solution in a straw. And then you spit into it for, up to a certain line. There's a line on it. So you just keep sitting there and spitting away. And when you reach that line along with the solution, you put the cap on and you shake it up and it solidifies. And you put it into a box and you send it back to the company. Now, some of you might remember this, but I kind of laughed and chuckled. I told my spouse, I said, hey, look at this. On the inside lid, the company at the time was doing this. There was just a little bit of a little write-up, a little text, and it said, thank you for your sample and believing in our company. We can't wait to show you your results. By the way, you might be opening up a whole can of worms here. And I chuckled because I thought I knew everything there was to know about my family. Now, I wasn't doing this to find things out or question relatives or anything. I was just certainly doing this because I wanted to see what my heritage was. There were no other ideas or thoughts or reasons why I took the test. I was actually kind of ignorant to the whole thing. I was like, this is so cool. What does my saliva tell this company to put in through their computers and their tests? And I was really excited about the whole thing. And I've spoken about this in the past. I always knew that I was Greek, Spanish, Italian, and we always heard other things like we could be Russian, or we could be Slavic, or we could be Czechoslovakian. And I always wondered about those things because I remember as a little kid in Rhode Island that my great-grandparents would talk about such things. And I would say, well, why do we call you Baba? And why do we say certain words that, friends back home don't know what I'm saying? And I would ask questions, and, my family was very open about answering questions. So I said, well, why do we call him Grandpa Gito? Doesn't Gito already mean grandpa? So we were basically calling him Grandpa, my great-great-grandfather. And so we laughed about things like this. We were like, wait, why do we call them that? And why did we say that? Or why do we use these customs in our families', everyday lives and whatnot? So I was pretty interested to see, because I grew up with a lot of the Spanish side of my heritage and my Italian side, but I wanted to see really what the test would say as far as being Greek. There was a part of my life that I was really studying Greek, and wanted to learn it and whatnot. So when the test results came back, it was a joyful thing. It was a curious thing. I was really excited. And yes, it said that I was Greek, Spanish, Italian, and those were my closest heritage markers. It kind of gives you a little bit of a ladder, and it says, well, the closest, step on your ladder is the following. And it said Greek, Spanish, Italian. But then it started listing other things that I was kind of shocked about. It brought up Native American and Jewish and Polish and Ukrainian and all this other stuff. And I thought, oh my goodness, what does this mean? Now my spouse got his results back and they were pretty right on. Scotland, the UK, United Kingdom, Germany, stuff like that. And we were already guessing that. And so we were pretty good with those results. But my results were kind of shocking. And I did ask some of my relatives that went with different companies, well, what is it telling you? And why do these things only come up on my side? And what does all this mean? And it was very interesting, but I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, isn't this interesting? But then fast forward to my family calling me and saying, there's a girl on the internet that's saying she's your sister. And I said, you mean our sister? And they said, no. She's saying she's your sister and that they all have been looking for you. So at that point, I did confront my sister and my mother, and things went really south pretty quickly because I think some secrets were turned up, and I feel like my family didn't appreciate that I took the test and found out some things for myself. And so once I started asking questions, it got pretty heavy, and pretty soon I realized that what I was being told were some secrets, some skeletons in the closet. And y'all know, as gay as I am, I thought I brought everything out with me when I left that closet. And so I was pretty shocked about things. So from this test, what I found out is the man that I thought was my father was not. And I had siblings and a very big family, and they all knew of me and had been looking for me, but they didn't know my full name or what month I was born in, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's a lot more to this story, but I'm just not going to go down that road yet. I've shared parts of this in the past on the show, and you can go and try to find those shows, and I shared a lot of this on the radio station, but tonight I just feel like I'm going to be a little more careful about what I say. Number one, I don't want my whole story on the internet, and then number two, I don't want to create more animosity towards myself or the situation. So I'm going to say that a huge story came out. And what do you say with a huge story? You say, I'm going to research this. I'm going to figure it out. So what I figured out pretty early on is that there are three stories to everything, and one is one side, the second one is the other side, and then that third story is where the truth lives. And I kind of had to grab pieces from both sides to make the truth fit properly in place. And I kind of put together this whole little puzzle. And it did really create problems with me and my family, because I did this test and it's, it brought out things. So what the test said one day, because the 23andMe app, the way it used to be back in the day, was it would ring you every time they found a cousin. So, pretty soon I was turning the app off, because it was saying, we found 300 cousins in Greece. We found 300 cousins in Italy. We found 500 cousins in Spain. And after you get that many notifications, I said, okay, it's great that I've got so many cousins, back in Europe, but I need to turn this off. This is kind of getting annoying. I'm not going to reach out to all hundreds and hundreds of cousins. And so some people did reach out and say, wait, who are you and who's your great-grandmother? And that was kind of neat. But after a while, it kind of got too much. And so I had turned off notifications. But when I went back to the app, when all this stuff dropped, the app did tell me, congratulations, we found a sibling. And that's when I thought, oh my Lord, there's more to my story. I think my whole life story is about to change. And so what I will say to you is this, as I eat my chocolate tonight and drink a cold Pepsi. I want to warn you because I don't think people take this as seriously as they need to. Now, y'all know me. I'm kind of a basket case in all things. I'm loud and I speak my mind. And here in the South, they say I'm a little salty. It's just maybe because I'm kind of a loudmouth and perhaps I don't think before I speak sometimes. But we're kind of loudmouths on the East Coast, and so I will say this. Was it shocking to find a whole chapter of my life come out of this? Yes. And so my warning to you is this. Whatever company you use, because 23andMe just got bought out and it's it's owned by different people. I'll tell you this. Please be careful, because you might get a test and it's exactly what you think it is. And you're like, yep, I'm German and that's so cool. And I want to go back to Germany someday and track all that. And that's great. But you might receive news like I did that was extremely emotional and kind of a lot. I had to go to therapy over it. And what it did for me, even though it was weird and strange and it was a lot all at once, what it did for me is that it showed me that I have half siblings in the world, and it showed me that I now know who my father is and that he is, alive and well, and it was just kind of a lot. And so in this show, before I go into anything more, I just kind of wanted to give a warning and let you know that, you are playing with your life when you do something like this. And your life story could be rewritten or it could be added to. And I want you to make sure that you understand the gravity of the situation. Once you spit in that tube and you send it away, it could open that jar of worms. And that's exactly what it did for me. Now, luckily, I did reach out to these people, these family members, and who are my blood, and asked some questions. And some of the story that I had received started making sense, and they knew names, and they knew places, and they knew things. And so I knew that this was not a mistake per 23andMe and or the Ancestry test. I knew that this was pretty legit. Our saliva matched, therefore our DNA and chromosomes matched, and it's pretty scientific. So once you start getting news of certain things, it kind of blows your mind. And I'm going to be honest, I had to go to therapy over it. I went and had 8 sessions because I had to talk it out and make it make sense in my life. Now, as a gay boy, I always thought, man, I wish I had a dad around, and I was guessing who my father was, and I just didn't want to disrespect, or maybe I was too young to answer certain questions, but yet I was led to believe that another man was my father. And so when all this came out, the man that I was assuming was my father was dead. And so when you get the results like I did, my father is very much alive. And so it was life changing. It was life altering. It made me figure out and understand who the other half of me was. Now, I walked around thinking that I was a bastard or I was a product of my mother getting pregnant young, and so I thought I was a shotgun bastard baby, and that's what I labeled myself. It was one of my labels. My other labels growing up was, suicidal and homophobic to myself. I hated that I was feminine, and I hated my high voice, and I hated that I was most likely a homosexual. And there's lots of labels that, any teenager grows up with, saying, I hate this about myself and whatnot. But what it really did for me is it made me realize that all the things that didn't make sense in my life growing up, I now realize that yes, it did make sense. That was the other half of me that the universe was trying to show me or tell me. And there are so many things, guys, that I could tell you through the years that I truly believe a greater power or an inner conscious or something. Well, I guess you could say the other half of me, my makeup, my chromosomes, the other half of me was trying to show me the way and point things out that I was uncomfortable with because I didn't recognize it from my family that I grew up with, that I was raised with. So all of a sudden, you are carrying around your life basket, and it was only half full. I didn't know my whole story. All the way up until my late 40s, I didn't know what my story was, my whole story, because half of it was missing. And I was sometimes very tempted to ask questions, but I thought, no, because it might cause animosity, and I was already dealing with other things privately in my life. And so I thought, if I bring this up and make someone upset or embarrassed or what have you, it could be bad for me. And so I decided not to ask a lot of questions out of respect. And also, I was kind of led to naturally assume who I should call dad or who is the dad figure, etc. And so, and I know I'm leaving a lot of holes out here, guys, but I can't say certain things on the internet yet. I'm just not ready. I'm sure you understand, but all of a sudden, I had an instant family. My whole half of me that was missing was now standing in front of me. And I had to figure out what I was going to do with it. Yes, I was emotional, and I was in disbelief, and I could not believe that any of this was real or truth or happening at the time. It's been a few years now, and I'm starting to wrap my head around this whole thing and how I'm going to take what I have now learned about myself onto my journey forward. But it was rather shocking. I'm going to tell you the truth. I was really rattled, and it sent me down a whole spiral of questions and trying to figure out who I was. I always had that question, who am I? Who's the other half of me? But also, once I had some answers and I was carrying a full basket, well, then I didn't know what to do with it, because I thought, well, these people are so different from me anyway, and I don't know what to do with this. And I was very guarded for a long time. Still am. But little by little, it's making sense. And I'm glad for it. I'm happy that all this came out finally. It's a shame that it came out so late in my life, and that I'm the one that figured all this out. But basically what my sibling said from the test results was that they had all known of me and searched for me for years and years and years, even had a birthday for me every year in June, and which is my wrong birth month. And they tried their best to figure it out and find me. And the reason why one of my siblings took a ancestry test through 23andMe is because they were trying to find me. And several years after my sibling took the test, I took the test, and that's how we were matched. Now, I will say this. I know a lot of you are going to say, well, how the hell can you believe some company that did chromosome markers? Look, I get it. This is a lot. It's kind of like a Lifetime movie. I'm going to have to write a book or something. Because you just would not believe the stories and everything that came out all at once. But I believe that this is real, and it's because of a lot of the things I'm leaving out of this show. But for my personal name and topic, I'll say that I do believe that this is completely real. These are my family. This is the people that have been searching for me. And it's so much more than what this episode is going to share with you. What I'll say is this. Do your research. Make sure the people that are coming through the app are who they are and who they say they are. And if you want to do some more, blood work and ancestry through your private PC and get some doctors involved and whatnot, then you do it. You do whatever's going to make you comfortable in this, this crazy world of figuring out ancestry history of your life. And so when all this came out, it was really crazy because my whole entire life, I had these cliches or these epiphanies or whatever you want to call it, these blasts of deja vu that I could not put my finger on. And as quick as it came, it would go away. But there were times where I was at a certain place in my life or a physical place where I would say, this feels right, or this feels like home, or this feels closer of my true self. And let me give you some examples. I won't share all of them because there's many, many, many. I remember being in a store and someone came up to me and I felt as a little kid that this person looked like me. And she asked me, she came up to me when my family walked away from the shopping basket. And she asked me, hi, how are you? Do you know who I am? And I said, no, I don't, but my family's right there. I don't know who you are. And the lady looked like me. And these are things that I couldn't explain for a long, long time. We're talking 40 years. But I got answers to a lot of the things that happened to me, especially when I was really young, that I couldn't really figure out what was happening or how I felt so serendipitous, or it was like a weird place in time where I was like, this is so weird. It's deja vu, or I've been here before, or something. And so after a while of conversing with my newfound family on my father's side, things started making sense. And now I truly believe that was either my dad's mom, or my dad's sister or aunt that came up to me. And it seemed very, very natural, feeling inside of my heart, my spirit, my soul, whatever you want to call it, that this lady was blood to me. And I couldn't figure out why I felt that, even though she was a stranger to me. She felt like more. And there are more and more little pieces of my memory as a child that has now fallen into place, where I go, oh my goodness, I realize now who that person was. And there were also times in my life where I felt like I would become more of my whole self at a certain place, physically, whether it was under a big tree or in a park or on a boat, things that I would say, isn't this fun on vacation, or isn't this great on a men's retreat or one of my layovers or something. But deep down in my soul, something told me, ding, 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 this is what you're searching for. This is part of you. This is the other half of you don't know of yourself. The other thing that kind of came out is my sibling, my new half sibling, asked me what my favorite colors were, what my favorite food was, favorite candy, etc., just to kind of learn each other. Those first conversations were kind of odd, and as they should have been. And everything that I would say, yeah, I really like that, or I've always been into that, but it didn't match my mother's side. It was 100% on track with my other family that I never had met. So for those of you that are really into scientific stuff and chromosomes and genealogy and heritage traits, let me tell you, everything matches this other part of my family that I never knew did. And suddenly you kind of feel like, wow, I'm starting to like know myself. Like myself already knew these things. And to get the blast of information that all of this matches up, colors, sports, foods, candies, all these things that I have loved, and it didn't make really sense on my maternal side, it completely matches my dad and my brother and my sister on that side now. And so I totally get like who I am and where I come from. The other thing that 23andMe shares with you is that it tells you famous people that you come from. So on my maternal side, they did DNA samples on the Apostle Luke's ribs and teeth in a church in Italy, and parts of him are spread all over Italy and Greece. And I match that DNA. So my maternal side comes from the Apostle Luke in the Bible, which answers a lot of things in my life and growing up and my religion and my beliefs and my Christianity and everything that goes along with that. It really made sense. And then on my paternal side, my father's side, there was a skull found in a riverbed up in Washington State, and he is considered to be the Kennewick Man because the town is called Kennewick, Washington. And his skull dates back. They tested his skull that they found there in the river, and it dates back like 10,000 years. And so that's where the Native American side comes from. But they call him the Great One, the Ancient One, the First One, and he's known as the Kennewick Man. So that is my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather on my paternal side. And it's really interesting how things come out that you just never thought would be connected to you. I remember watching a documentary on the Kennewick Man a long time ago. Little did I know that I was watching that because that's my lineage on my father's side. So, and there's 50 more thousand things I could share on this episode that all clicks together. It just makes up me. It's my makeup. And I could share things that would just give you goosebumps and chills. These little puzzle pieces about myself. I've always been an incomplete puzzle. And now all these pieces are falling into place, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with all of this. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with all this for the rest of my days on this planet. And there's a text coming through, and it's asking, do you have regrets? No, I have no regret around this. I have regrets of how it changed my relationship with my mother and everything that came out at first about it, and my immediate family that I was raised with. But that's a whole other issue and a whole other story and a whole other episode. And I'd rather not bring up such, I know this is already super personal, but we're going to leave some stuff out because I just don't want it out on the internet forever. And maybe someday I'll have the guts to share the entire story. But for now, for tonight, I'm going to keep a little bit of it for me. But it's amazing how things come out, and it makes such sense after it's confirmed. I love black licorice candy. So does my dad. I had never met him in my life that I could recall. And so things like this, going camping and fishing and whatnot, my dad loves, or barbecuing and cooking and baking, my dad loves. I've loved all that. And I've always been kind of a outspoken person, and my dad is also that. And so I'm starting to figure out the traits that didn't make sense with the people I was raised with, my other side of my family. It now all makes sense, and it's been quite the gift. I suddenly have a huge family. My dad has 10, 12 still living siblings, and they all have kids, and they all have grandkids, and they all have great-grandkids. I've met some. I haven't met everyone yet, and we're taking this super, super slow. I've met one of my half new siblings, and she's wonderful, and I love her kids, and we're just taking baby tiny steps because I'm trying to wrap my head around all of this. Sometimes when you're given information, yes, it's a gift, but it's a big gift, and you have to figure out how to figure it out that it's a blessing through and through on the long term. But yeah, my father's surname is Archuleta, and I know that a lot of y'all are going to run to the internet now and go, okay, Archuleta, where does that come from and what does it mean? It's a Spanish name from Spain. It's linked to Queen Isabella. And the coat of arms or the family crest and all that stuff, sometimes it shows a horse or an ox. Sometimes it shows a bear, a tiger, different colors for flag and crest and whatnot. But basically, Archuleta means a cleared out space in a forest where there lies a great tree. And I have always been drawn to meadows that have a clearing and a great big tree. So the following is probably going to freak you out, and I swear to God it's the truth. But for years and years and years, I always felt uncomfortable in the South. Number one, I'm gay, and they don't like that here. Number two, I'm dark. Like I said, I'm Greek, Spanish, Italian, Native American, all this stuff. I'm not a white person. I don't, really look like a white person, especially in the South, or especially in Tennessee. And so when I moved here and stayed here, etc., and made roots, I just never felt like I was home. I've always missed, where I was raised and grew up in. I've always missed Rhode Island. I've always missed the place that I was raised at. And so I didn't know how to feel comfortable around here. I did the best that I could with my spouse, and we have a big yard, and we got some chickens and a garden and some roses planted, and we were making our own roots the best way that we could as that goes. And I came across a greenway out in Madison, Tennessee. It's called Peeler Park and Greenway. Way back in the day, it had a big outdoor swimming facility for the locals. And so I started going there and fell in love with the place. I would see an owl every day and deer and turkey, and I fell in love with the Greenway. And so I really started going daily and hiking and really loved my journey there. But I can't explain to you what happened. I came across this clearing right over a little hill, And there was this meadow clearing with a huge tree in the middle. And basically that's what Archuleta means. And guys, every time that this has happened to me in the past, I have said, oh my goodness, I wish I could stay here. I want to live here. I wish I could put a little tiny house right there and sit under that tree. And I've always been drawn to places like that. Matter of fact, I used to go there every day and take a picture. So I have hundreds of pictures of this place in the Greenway, where I have said, if anything ever happens to me, I want my ashes spread under that tree there. And I even went as far as getting my spouse to come and walk in the heat and the bugs and said, I'm going to show you where I want some of my ashes to be placed. And he took it very seriously. And so we went one day and I showed him how to get there. And I fell in love with this place. And it was just one of those things that I believe the universe was telling me, this is who you are. Now, Archuleta comes from the Basque country. It's the northern part of Spain that is touching the line of France. They have their own language there and their own customs. They even do their own taxes and government and everything, but they're still part of Spain. But they're called the Basque people, and that's where the lineage of my name comes from. I don't know if Queen Isabella, the royalty part of this, was before that or after that. But, Google it and check it out. Archuleta has a lot of famous people. And Archuleta came over from Europe and spread throughout the southwest of the United States. Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, all the four corners up there. And that's where my family was. There was a senator up in Colorado, and so there's Archuleta County. And there's a lot of Archuletas in Taos, New Mexico, and we have a lot of ties over there. And so all of this just kind of started making sense. Where I felt like I had a void is now filled with curiosity. And to tell you the truth, I'm quite proud of figuring out more of my history of Spain, because I have Spanish on both sides. And it makes me just super, super proud. And I'm trying to retrieve all of this the best that I can. But I laugh that I know myself with a certain name, and that people know me as a certain name. But yet, if it would have all gone more normative when I was born, I would be using Archuleta. Isn't that something? And so I'm really considering starting to change my name. I'm considering changing the show name. I'm considering changing my name. All of this is on the bucket list, and I'm praying it through, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. But it really, really is something, guys, that things come to you in your life that, well, it makes more sense. It comes at you in waves, and in little things. It just comes at you. And when I was doing the PR poster for this show, I used one of the pictures from the Greenway that I fell in love with, because no wonder I've been so drawn to large trees in a clearing. And no wonder I felt like that was right, or it made sense. And so, it's really been quite the journey. For those of you that are here in live listening to the show on Podbean, I'm going to post a picture right now in the chat room and show you the field, the clearing, and the big tree there in the middle. And that's the place that I've been drawn to, where I felt like safe, or that it was more me than any part of this state. And being in the South, I never really felt like I fit in. But when I came across this place, I was like, what does this mean? I don't understand. And I could tell you way more things for this to make more sense. But it's stuff like this that I think my inner self was trying to say, this is you. You don't know it, but this is a part of you. This is you. This means Archuleta. This means your other side. And it's been quite the journey. It really, really has. It's been challenging and emotional. But I'm finally getting to a point now where I'm starting to embrace it and understand it. And so that's what I want for y'all. If you guys are considering doing a family trait ancestry test, I would tell you pray about it, and also the warning, be prepared. It might bring up some things that you don't know what to do with. A lot of things are out there. There's lots of family secrets. Did I think I was going to have such an outcome and story? Absolutely not. I just wanted to see how much Greek we were. And it really opened up a bunch of who I am and where I come from. And so if you're thinking about doing this, y'all, I want you to have great success with it. But I would also say, I hope that you also get a therapist, because I had to. And I had to figure out what I was going to do with all of this. It's been a special, wonderful thing, but it's also been waiting. It's been weird. I don't know how else to say it. It's been strange, and it's been wonderful all at the same time. For those of you that are listening live now on Clapper or on Podbean, I wanted to let you guys know that this is probably where we're going. We're going to figure out what we're going to do. As you guys may or may not know, Podbean is going to be stopping the live service part of the membership. And I've always been live. Even when I was over on the radio station doing 3-hour shows, I was live. And that's what I wanted to bring over here to the podcast, is I just work better that way. And so we're going to figure out what to do, because pretty soon in May, the SayCo Show will not be live. Now, we will tape live, and it will be unedited, and that's how we will upload right away. But we're going to have to figure out if we're going to upload on a different day, if we're going to stay live using the Clapper app. We'll figure it out. Now, I know a lot of you asked me, when is this going to go, down? We're going to start using the Clapper app as much as we can between now and May. And then in May, now I'm paid up. The SayCo Show is paid up through December for the rest of the year on Podbean. But after that, we will make some changes, because we're being forced to. So I don't know if we're going to stay on Podbean. And I don't know if we're going to completely go over exclusively to Clapper or what we're going to do. But I will say this. The SayCo Show is definitely going to do a season 4. And we're going to continue discussing all things queer and my life, like I promised y'all. So we're going to figure this out together. And as soon as I know what's going on and things are more concrete and we get feedback from y'all, we're going to figure out this together, because we're in this together, right? This is your show. And I want all of you to feel comfortable here. If you feel comfortable with the show and you want to share the show and the ideas that we are showcasing here, send us a text, 615-805-4363, and shoot us a voicemail or a text, and let us know if you have ideas, comments, concerns. If you want to send us some snail mail, email the SayCo Show @writeme.com. So let me know if you have ideas, or if you're going to be in Middle Tennessee and you want to be part of the live studio audience. Tonight we're coming to you from my home studio in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. And also I want to remind you all that no matter where we go, the SayCo Show is a copyrighted protected show. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we are doing our best here, even though we're not very trained or savvy on a lot of this, but we're doing our absolute best. A lot of people text me one time and they just say, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, or my son really needed to hear an adult feminine gay guy speak about his life and concerns. And so for those of you that have reached out, I so appreciate you. I wanted to share and say thank you. I took a picture of it earlier. To the people that are listening outside of the United States. Right now, the United States is unrecognizable, guys. The country I live in is not what my country is or was, and it's an absolute disgrace, and it doesn't feel like home at all. It feels like a different kind of country. But for those of you that are listening outside, especially all of you in Canada, I appreciate you. But we got some alerts this week that people are listening in Singapore, in Kenya, and Australia. So for those of you that are listening outside of this strange nation, I thank you. And please pray for us as we're praying for y'all. And thank you, for real, thank you for your leaders saying no to the current administration on helping for this illegal war against Iran. Thank you. Thank you for saying no. Someone has to, because the people around here, they ain't saying no to him. And there's a lot of us that feel differently. I hope you don't blame every American. There's a lot of us that didn't vote for him. And so I ask you for your prayers, because I'm worried. I'm worried for my country and yours. And hopefully somehow, some way, he will be stopped and voted out, etc., etc. But I did want to say thank you to those countries that are listening to us outside of the United States of America, or whatever you want to call us now. I'm not sure if we're united. But we do so appreciate you guys listening. Please like, share, and follow. Download the Clapper app, because we might go exclusively that way. So those of you that don't know, we're going to start posting even more over there. And it's part of their radio segment of the membership. So it's spelled CLAPPER. So go download Clapper app. Number one, it's a great alternative to TikTok. We don't want any part of that. If the current administration has their hands in it, then we don't. That's why we're not on X. That's why we really don't like certain apps anymore. So that's why we are using Blue Sky and Clapper and some of the other safer apps. And so, guys, let me know how comfortable you feel about continuing on Clapper once the end of the year happens. Maybe Podbean will change their minds and we'll be able to stay long term here. I think that's all I want to share for now. Let's call this part one of my ancestry life. And when I'm ready to tell you guys more, I will. But it's been quite the journey. Some of you asked about more personal shows, and that's what we're doing. Now, next show, I believe, is going to be a gentleman named Sean, and he is Anthony Wade's spouse. Anthony Wade was on the show, I believe, around December or Thanksgiving, either around Thanksgiving or Christmas. And so he's going to come in and tell his side of the story about their life and marriage and whatnot, and then also talk about what he loves to do in life, which is drag performance, acting, to pay the bills. He's an interior decorator during the day. So we're going to sit down with a local queer man that, gosh, sounds super talented, just as talented as his husband Anthony Wade, singer, etc. And so we're going to get them in the studio either next week or the week after, and we're going to just sit down and hash it out and tell you all what it's like to be a queer man here in the South, in the Bible Belt, in Nashville, Red Nashville. And I think it's going to be a really great show, and I hope that they show up together so we can see that dynamic, because last time Sean got shy and he wanted to just listen to the show at home, so it was just Anthony. But it would be great if they would both come in and we could do, a part two of their lives and what they like to do. I know Anthony just got back from a European vacation, so it would be great to catch up on that. They're such talented guys. They're beautiful inside and out, and they're so talented. So we're excited. We're looking forward to that. Some of the other shows that are coming up, of course, we're going to touch base with a review of testicular cancer. That's my platform. That's been my platform and foundation even when way back on the radio station. So in April, we will be discussing a little bit of a reminder on testicular cancer health, as well as getting your prostate number. I just got mine a few weeks ago, and mine is super, super good. For those of you that don't know, 3 years ago, they found a tumor on one of my testicles, and they had to remove it, and I have been cancer-free ever since, thank the Lord. So I'm coming past 3 years now of my surgery. Also, the things that they're watching me for is because every gentleman on both sides, mom and dad's side, have prostate cancer. So we're really watching my number. And it's a simple blood test now, guys. No backdoor examinations. So I want you to prepare yourself, because some of the shows in April, we're going to be talking about this, just like we do in November. But I so appreciate you guys. You guys have stuck by me, and I hope that you're setting alarms in your phone and on your iPads, etc., so you can be live here on Podbean. These are the last few Podbean Live SayCo shows, so I hope that you're here weekly. And those of you that are here in the chat room now, thank you. Thank you so much for setting your clock and always being here. My number one fan up in Canada is Todd. Todd, I so appreciate you. We send each other messages back and forth on different social media apps through the week, and he has been a constant, an absolute constant in my life through the podcasting venture. And we met over on another miniature podcasting app called Swell. Swell is now defunct. It's now under. And so we have carried our friendship over to Podbean, and I'm glad for that. Those of you that have any questions about this show or past shows, please reach out, 615-805-4363. Oh, we have a couple comments that I wanted to read about the Patsy Cline show. I really received a lot of feedback. You know, my Patsy Cline episodes are always big numbers because people love her so much. Even today, I was colorizing some pictures, and AI is a wonderful thing when you've got old pictures in your safe and you want to get them restored and see what they would look like, big, etc., blown up. And so I was working on some Patsy pictures today, and I said, oh yeah, I forgot to bring up some of those comments on the show. So before we sign off, one gentleman said, will you ever walk through your collection as an episode? Yes, I sure will. We're always doing Patsy episodes, and I'd love to do more and often. So yes, we will do a show where I will break down what I'm so proud of, or what I'm proudest of in my collection, and I'll post some pictures of it. Yeah, absolutely, I will. Another gentleman in White House reached out and said, what a fantastic show. I learned more about Patsy tonight that I didn't know, and I'm super excited about learning more about your collection. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that was Thomas that sent that in. But yeah, we received all kinds of voicemails and emails and texts about the Patsy show, and that they so enjoyed listening to Jimmy Walker, who's another person that collects and shares his collection and is part of the fan club that's still running for Patsy Cline. And so if you're interested in Patsy Cline, go listen to some of those past episodes. They're a lot of fun. This last one that Jimmy was on, we were kind of breaking down the song Sweet Dreams and discussing the lyrics and reading some essays I've written on it, and even listen to Patsy with the vocals removed and just listen to her sing Sweet Dreams without any of the studio work. and it'll give you chills. It was amazing. It was a really fun show. I look forward to doing that again. Someone asked if we were going to do a series on our favorite Patsy songs and talk about them. I would love to do that. So y'all know me. I never say no to Patsy. Go out, buckle up.